Okay, welcome back to the United Pubcast. Seen a few people in the chat already. Thank you very much for joining us. Not that you have anywhere else to be if you are in Sydney, like Rob and I, stuck in lockdown for the next God knows how long, definitely to the end of September, so another month of this. But it's good because we get to talk a bit more about United. But as I said, Robbie's here because Larry has failed a late fitness test, so Rob's back off the bench. Well, you're back at work, Rob, so you're almost back to normal, or does it still feel like you're stuck in lockdown?
It still feels like I'm locked down. I get my little time out of jail for 8 hours, which is work feels like a second jail anyway sometimes. But yeah, straight back after work.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, there's some guys in here all saying evening. Adrian, Ryan, evening. Justin from the Supporters Club, all guys from the Supporters Club as well, Justin and Josh. I hope everyone is keeping well on this Friday and looking forward to the weekend because the weekend, well, the days do drag on, but United are top of the table and we do have a good weekend to look forward to. But just before we start, we mentioned it, well, not mentioned it, but it was probably about 24 hours ago, almost to the minute. It broke sadly last night. I just got a book here, which just reminded me that we might as well just touch on at the start. Dennis Law was diagnosed with mixed dementia last night, and he spoke about how to interview. I urge everyone to go and sort of have a look at the interview because he speaks quite openly about it. And this is someone who's sort of obviously battled prostate cancer as well a long time ago, so he has been through a lot. I think also I read that he's the sixth player who has, from that 1968 European Cup team, who has been diagnosed with dementia, alongside sort of Nobby Stiles, Sir Bobby Charlton, etc. So I think it definitely adds weight to that sort of discussion around. There's always new studies coming about heading and everything, and I think we always put that to sort of the side and a bit to the back burner, say, oh, it's nothing. When you do see club legends sort of suffering in this way, it does sort of add a sort of new light to that. But I'll just show you this book as well I've got here on that episode we did the other day in terms of memorabilia. I forgot to bring this up, but have a look at the penmanship by Dennis Law. So a sort of illustrated book by Dennis Law, but his handwriting is absolutely beautiful. I'm not showing off the signature, but he's it puts my penmanship to shame. Definitely a beautiful writer, Dennis Law, but I think he always needs a little bit more credit because obviously he's the only player, only person with two statues at Old Trafford. Not many people would know that. He obviously does have one inside the Stretford end. And I think he's someone always we should give more credit to because out of the Holy Trinity and Best, Law and Charlton, George Best and Sir Bobby Charlton always get all the praise, and rightly so, they're great legends. But that success, a lot of that success that team had was down to Dennis Law's goals. Who's obviously the first United player to win the Ballon d'Or. So, I urge everyone just go to read that interview with Dennis Law because he does speak quite openly about it, which is very brave of him. And he talks about sort of struggling with self-isolation, which I assume a lot of people had, which is mainly the reason we sort of started this YouTube thing because we're just stuck in lockdown with nothing to do. We thought sort of give United fans something to do on a night, so give them something to look forward to. So I urge everyone to go and read that. But we will move on with the show. I've just seen here Sully, evening, mate. And we'll get on obviously a match preview of Southampton, and we will get into the United side of things in regards to Raphael Varane, Jadon Sancho. I'm sure that'll sort of dominate the discussion on who should play. But as said, we always have an opposition to play with. We sometimes forget it, and we do have Southampton. We're just discussing, Rob, we always seem to have Southampton quite early away. Well, it wasn't the case last season, but usually we play them away early in the season. And same thing this year.
Yeah, well, like I was just saying before, that it's nearly been 2 years since the first time that I met you. We got to go to Piedmont Bridge Hotel in the pub back then when there was no COVID, and I think it was the 1-1. Daniel James put in the top pocket, and I think it was Vestergaard that got the equaliser, jumping over Lindelof in the end. But yeah, again, we meet up with them again with slightly more upgraded team, and I'm quite confident this week.
Well, how times change in those 2 years. You obviously mentioned sort of pre-COVID times, but also I remember when Dan James put that in the top corner, we were thinking, here's our new number 7. Here we are 2 years later thinking, how is he still playing in the team? Get him out of the team sort of thing. So it does show how quick it does go. Just seen a comment here from George saying St Mary's always seems to be an early stumbling block. However, I do remember, it might not have been the second game, I think it might have been the third game, but the last time we did win the title, we played away at Southampton early, and obviously the Robin Van Persie hat-trick. So, and I do remember we beat Fulham one day in the 06-07 season, 5-1. So maybe that's a good omen. We beat Leeds 5-1. An early game against Southampton. I'm reaching at straws. I'm clutching. But just one more comment here before we get into Southampton from Sy. Evening, mate. Southampton away, avoid Ward-Prowse free kicks, which is probably their strong point, Ward-Prowse, because I was just looking at the team, Southampton, which we'll go into now. Obviously, they had a disappointing loss against Everton last week, 3-1. I think they took the lead. They're in the lead at half time and conceded 3 late goals sort of thing. But if you look at their team now, okay, Ward-Prowse, we obviously know his abilities and what he brings to the team. But other than that, they lost that defender who you said, and also they lost, obviously, Danny Ings to Aston Villa. So when you actually go through their team, okay, it's going to be a tricky game, but they're quite weaker than last season, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like I said, two massive outs for them at both sides of the pitches. Danny Ings, obviously their main goal scorer last year, and Vestergaard, one of their better centre backs, is off to Leicester. So yeah, I think we've got a. Like, I'm pretty quite confident in this game. Like I said, I think a lot of balls. Like if you watch the Everton goals that went in, there was I think two of them were inside the 6 yard box. That one was a Richarlison, the other one was Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I think a lot of crosses will hurt them at the back this week.
What do you think? I'm just going through the team. It's pretty much the same every season. They always they're never in a discussion of top six, and nor should they be. But they're also never really in a relegation battle. I'm just thinking they are a team who, and okay, it's not a often occurrence, but they do get smashed occasionally. We've obviously seen the 9-0s or 9-1s that's happened to them a few times. So I'm just thinking, because they haven't strengthened and they are sort of a touch weaker, and you see teams around. I know Aston Villa finished quite high last season, but Aston Villa sort of improving. Leeds, you'd think, will improve, sort of thing. Do you think Southampton should be having a sort of a look over the shoulder and be a little bit concerned about relegation this year?
Definitely. Well, like I said on our show, I predicted them to be going down. To be honest, like as soon as they, especially after they lost those two important players, like I think it was Palace I replaced them with. But yeah, I really think that they could nosedive this year and really be in that relegation battle.
Well, I think that's what we're discussing. And look, time will tell. It's the second game of the season, but we're talking about sort of jokingly about Arsenal. Who can they get goals on in that, when they're down that bottom half of the team, bottom half of the ladder? You do need someone who you can get 10, 15 goals out. And when you see Lacazette and Aubameyang not in the team, you start to worry about them, because that will be a concern teams have down there, sort of that do have. So I just refer that to Southampton. Say, okay, you lose Danny Ings, whether people rate Danny Ings or they don't. He is someone who scores goals at that end of the table, and suddenly they have that sort of. He's gone away, and I think Shea Adams is there. Armstrong, I'm not sure where he's from. He obviously got the goal last week.
That was his first goal for him last week, on debut. So yeah, I don't even know much about him.
Oh, look, fair play. He might be a new Danny. He might be fantastic. Fair play to him, but he is someone that, or Southampton in general. I do look. I don't fear for them. I don't have any care for Southampton. Good club, bad club, no real bother. But I do. If I was a Southampton fan, I definitely would be concerned. Just some comments here from Ryan. I share the confidence this time around. United should get the win, and Alex, they've lost some major contributors. I think, regardless, look, we can only control what we can control, but something we can control, which I remember didn't happen last year. I think it was Fred, and we'll get into Fred in a little bit. But the one thing we can control is not giving away stupid free kicks on the edge of the box, which, in talking about Alex was saying they're major contributors, it's not. I don't think it's a lazy thing, but their main contribution is Ward-Prowse from set pieces.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that's in our control. Usually you look at an opposition, you think, okay, he can hurt us if he plays well. I think if any of those players play well for Southampton, well, it's no real bother if we play well. I think it's not like we're coming up against a superior team. We have to worry about sort of their strengths. I think if we worry about our own backyard, we should be fine. But yeah, leave a like on. I forgot to mention, leave a like on the video if you are watching live. Please do, and if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. But we will go on to two names who we both want to see play, but I'm not sure if we will see. We'll start. Well, obviously Raphael Varane and Edison Cavani. Now, I was just discussing with you before we went on air regarding Cavani. I know he's back in Manchester. I know he looks very fit. I haven't seen any training photos though, but you said there's been reports that he has been in and around Carrington.
Apparently, the last 2 days he has been at training. Again, I'm sure I'm the same as you. Everyone's been wanting to see these photos, and like I said, he looks fit from when he was over in Uruguay training. But yeah, match fitness, and he hasn't had any minutes on the pitch, so that's another story. Look, a lot of people say he could be an option for the bench, but I guess we'll find out. I think Ollie's got his press conference 10:30 tonight. Maybe we might find a little bit more out from there.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I forgot about that press conference. I sort of went 3 months without press conferences, but yeah, no, it is a Friday night. Something to look forward to. Maybe we should have held off the preview till after that, but definitely be tuned into that. If you are in the comments, please, we're just going to talk about Varane and Cavani now. So get your comments in if you think they should be playing or not, or just your opinion on it. So George has said, can't see Cavani playing. Greenwell did well enough to keep his spot last night. Greenwood did well enough to keep his spot. So last week, obviously. Which I think, yeah, there's no rush with Cavani, but we'll discuss him before. You have a feeling, or I'll get your feeling on what you think Solskjaer will do. But you were saying if you were Solskjaer, you would be playing Raphael Varane. And the question I would pose to you is that, yes, I want to see Raphael Varane play as well. Obviously, we've signed him to play ahead of Lindelof, and that will be the case. However, I just look at last week how good Lindelof was and the lack of training for Raphael Varane, lack of training / match fitness. Look, I want to see Varane playing. I think, maybe it is the right decision. But I just think this early in the season, given the context, I think that would be very harsh on Victor Lindelof.
Look, well, I personally think that Ollie is pretty much going to go with unchanged 11. Besides, I do think Sancho will come in for Daniel James. But with Varane, me personally, I would like to see him there. And I think he would love to be there as well. We're talking about this in our group chat today, and the boys are like, Lindelof hasn't done anything to be dropped. He was great last week, which I agree with. But if he has another 1 or 2 games with the same performance and is a 10 out of 10, what are we going to do? Keep Varane on the bench, like our world-class superstar sign-in? What are you going to do? Sit there and let him warm the bench? The whole point of him coming in is to upgrade our defense, try and keep those clean sheets, have that really good partnership with Harry Maguire at the back. Me personally, I'd love to see him start. Just even like I said, it's an away game, but Southampton, I'd rather him be coming in and getting some time before the international break. Before we know it, 2-3 weeks away, it's international break, and then I think we go for that patch where we got like Chelsea, City, whatever. So I'd like to see him start getting that bit of chemistry with Harry Maguire and getting some minutes on the pitch.
Were you talking? Was you spoken about before about sort of what's the point of not what's the point of having a defender on the bench? Obviously, you need a defender on the bench, but you're saying, well, how often does a defender come off the bench and play? I'm just thinking, well, you do look at the size of the bench now. We are allowed 9, so I think regardless of his fitness now, I think Varane will travel, and in my opinion, he will be on the bench. And I do see a situation. Let's say we're obviously both confident of United victory. United are 2-3-0 up. I think that is okay. You don't often see a central defensive substitution, but I can see a situation if United are playing well and comfortable, it is the ideal situation to bring him in. And I do understand. I completely agree. We've bought him to win games and to be our main man at the back. So bring him in. Don't care about Lindelof's feelings. I completely understand that. But I just think, okay, this isn't away at City, or it isn't away to Chelsea, or it's not at home to Arsenal. It's not. Well, I say Arsenal is this big team, but you know what I mean. But I just think that given the context and last week, while I want Varane to play, I'd have to be saying if I was Solskjaer, I would be playing Victor Lindelof, and that's just keeping people happy. Because could you put yourself in Lindelof's shoes? And again, no one's bigger than the club, but Lindelof's shoes, you just put one of his best performances for United in. He's sitting top of the table. Why should he get dropped out? If anyone, Harry Maguire was the one, and Harry Maguire wasn't poor by any standards. But Harry Maguire was the poorer of the centre backs if you could compare them.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think it would be extremely harsh. Well, that is the nature of the beast when you're playing at Man United.
Well, exactly right. I mean, like I said, it could the same thing. Like I said, could happen exactly next week. He could have another screamer of Lindelof. He could get another assist there. Could hit the clean sheet, and then we're gonna have the same argument next week. So, like I said, the only thing is Varane would obviously have another week of training under his belt with the boys, but that's the only thing. I think he's ready to go. He's a world class player, man. I was listening to you guys with I think it was KM, the guy from Real Madrid, talking last night, and man, just after listening to him, I'm G'd up to see him.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just some comments here from Justin. Varane didn't play the midweek friendly. Lindelof played well and be hard to replace. And that's what I thought Varane might have played maybe that second half against Burnley. But from all reports and the photos that came out, Varane wasn't involved. So that's maybe another sort of ticking the box of Victor Lindelof, maybe getting the nod in this one as well. Ryan, I wouldn't play Varane in this one, giving Lindelof another opportunity, keep him on his toes and hungry for the centre-back spot. Could very well maybe a situation, I can't see it playing out in the same way, because obviously I want Varane to be starting, but you could always see a sort of Luke Shaw and Alex Tellers situation with that Varane coming in and challenging the centre-backs, not only for Lindelof, but also for Maguire as well. And Alex saying, I'd like to see Martial play some more minutes. The deeper our squad, the better. I'm not sure if that's Alex or Larry has changed his account and just hiding behind Alex's name to get Martial some more minutes. But well, just on Martial, we're going to have a discussion about midfield. But on that Cavani, we don't think Cavani's going to play. Again, with a squad or with a bench of 9 players, there's maybe room to throw him on the bench, maybe. I'd still be surprised with that. I think he might stay home in Manchester. But is Martial going to play? He was on the bench against Leeds, but...
No, I think I don't see who's going to replace. Like I said, if anyone's coming in for me, it's Sancho. I think he's obviously a good option to have off the bench, but Mason for me definitely plays down the middle. He was great last week. His runs, his movement, the little chemistry he's getting with Pogba. that goal was amazing for me. So yeah, and on the who started on the left last week? Oh, Pogba was on the left,
Yeah.
which I think Pogba also obviously he wasn't playing a traditional winger last week. He was kind of had a little bit of a free roaming free a bit of free space to just go
Yeah.
around and link up with Bruno. So yeah, I think he's going to stay there for now, and I can see him playing McFred as well in midfield.
Well, the name you mentioned just a little bit earlier in regards to the one change you think that will happen in terms of Dan James and Jadon Sancho. We've had that debate. Raphael Varane hasn't had the minutes, but Jadon Sancho has been training a while. But Sancho obviously hasn't had the minutes. Played against Burnley, but we're sitting here saying, in my opinion, I'm saying, well, Lindelof shouldn't be dropped because he was very good against Leeds. Now, I'm not going to say Dan James was good against Leeds. However, he was part of a team who won 5-1. So in Solskjaer's mind, from what I was watching, I wasn't impressed. But from Solskjaer's mind, he might have thought he was the most important player on the pitch from what he wanted from a tactical point of view. Now, I wouldn't agree with that, but Solskjaer's viewing the game differently to what we do. So I'm just thinking it's a very obvious decision for both of us. We're sitting here say, yep, Dan James on the bench, Jadon Sancho starts. However, Solskjaer, what do you think he'll do? I have a feeling, which you've alluded to, that he might go with Dan James again. While that causes huge frustration, I say, well, is it the wrong decision? We just won 5-1.
I don't know. Two different teams, man. Like I said, I think we all knew Dean James was going to have minutes last week, as we know, like he did last season. They're terrible at the back. He's got the pace, and how many times did he get in behind? It was the right decision to play him last week. But I do think this will be a little bit more of a different game tactically. I do think they might sit back a lot more compared to Leeds. So I do think someone. I think someone like a Sancho is perfect for this game. Like I said, his technical abilities, he's got the flair. He could get whip crosses in. I think Sancho's definitely got to come in. He come on the bench in a perfect situation last week when we were 5-1 up, just to get some minutes in the legs. He played against Burnley, like I said, during the week. He's had another extra week with the team. He's got to come in for me, definitely.
No, look, I completely agree. However, I am just preparing myself, and I urge you to prepare yourself for an hour before kickoff. That to see Jadon Sancho firmly sat on the bench and Dan James to take his spot on the right hand side. But just a comment here from George, who I think has probably sort of caught a glimpse of our notes because it is the next topic on our sort of agenda. But no need for McTominay or Fred in this game. I'd bring in Matic, drop Pogba into midfield to get an extra attacking player on. We're facing a low block and might need more to break them down. So we'll just go into midfield and look, it's the same discussion with Dan James. I think whatever your opinion, look, Fred and McTominay were very good against Leeds, and rightly so. But again, different games call for different tactics, different players. But again, put yourself in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's shoes. How can you drop these two? Like they deserve to play again. So I'm just thinking, how do you see what Southampton are going to bring to the table, and how that affects Solskjaer's decision making?
Yeah, well, I completely agree with George, man. For me, that's what I'd love, man. The 1-6, Bruno and Pogba in the midfield, and feed in the front three. But yeah, exactly. We go back to that discussion again. Why change a winning formula? The two boys did a great job last week, especially McTominay in the first half. I thought he was great. Like I said, it could happen. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, Si's just saying here, saying he's expecting Donny van der Beek to start or play a half. One of his better games last season. He can't help beat the high. He can help beat the high press. Just remember, it popped up on United's YouTube channel the other day in terms of those two late goals from Cavani, and obviously we're 2-0 down there last year, and it's sort of a dramatic 3-2 win. But I did see the goals that went in. Donny van der Beek was on the pitch, and so here's one again. Had a good pre-season. You expect him to play, and it is a game, in my opinion, that does suit him. Maybe over a Fred in terms of the way Southampton do press. So I think you do need someone comfortable on the ball. But we have this debate every single week. We say it suits Donny van der Beek. He should be playing this one. But again, I think I'm fully prepared for, again, not in a negative way, but for McTominay and Fred to be playing. I just don't see a situation how he changes it. While in my opinion, I would be changing it, especially not only different tactics, but just from he needs to learn from what he did last season in terms of his lack of rotation. This is a game where Southampton, we've just both said, could be in a relegation battle. This is a game where, while the points are even at the moment in the season, come March or April, there might be 60 points difference. So we need to be looking at maybe Southampton a weak team. This is where you can rotate your team and play the likes of Donny van der Beek and Matic. But like you've alluded to it, but you're fully prepared for McTominay and Fred?
I'm definitely, like I said, I'll be amazed if Donny even gets game time. I thought he would have been a shoe-in last week, especially when we were about 5-1 up. I was expecting him to come on and get some minutes and have a bit of a play around with no pressure on. So in a game like this, when away, I'll be amazed if it. Mate, I'd love to see it again, but yeah, I definitely think Fred, Matic, and McTominay will be all in front in the pecking order of Donny.
Yeah, no, it's hard to argue with that. And George is sort of all our fears. Bracing myself to go 1-0 down after Fred gives away a free kick and Ward-Prowse puts it in the top corner. It was exactly what happened last season, wasn't it? And Ryan, Martial, Greenwood, and Sancho for me. Bruno in front of Pogba and Van der Beek in a 4-2-3-1. And just think on that, we'll have a discussion before we wrap up. We'll wrap up the podcast in a couple of minutes. So just on Mason Greenwood, we'll have a discussion, and we don't want to make this a transfer podcast. If you scroll onto Twitter, open your Twitter app, the first name you will see is Kylian Mbappe. The latest link or the latest news on Twitter is Kylian Mbappe is about to join Man United. Now, obviously, that is not the case. However, Solskjaer will obviously be quizzed about it, maybe in terms of the Cavani situation, but there's no doubt Cavani's great. When he's fit, he'll be playing this season, but he's obviously going to leave at the end of the season. We have a number 7 shirt, but probably more important than the number 7 shirt, we'll have a vacant striking position. Now, we do look at Erling Haaland as obviously Solskjaer's number 1 target. I assume United as a whole have a huge interest as well. You could have the same case for Kylian Mbappe. We could have a debate if he's a striker or a winger, what his best position is, but there's no doubt any manager in world football and any club from a marketing point of view will obviously want Mbappe. He's on that sort of Ronaldo and Messi or trajectory sort of thing in regards to his profile. But I'm just thinking, yes, if the opportunity is to go and get those players, that's fantastic. I'll be first in line to get their shirt. Mason Greenwood, though, we can't sleep on Mason Greenwood. I am telling you, I thought he was fantastic last week against Leeds. Obviously got his goal, a crucial goal, the most important goal of the game for me. But I truly think if Greenwood kicks on, yes, go get Haaland if he's available for 70 million, of course. But Greenwood can definitely be that in that echelon of players, in my opinion. I think people need to sort of not be patient with Greenwood, but give him a lot more respect in regards to how good this kid will be.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a massive fan of Greenwood, but it's just it's gonna get a time. It's like we're getting very greedy. Or a couple of years back, we had Van Persie, we had Falcao, we had Di Maria. It's getting to that point now. We've got so much strike power that, like I said, in a couple of weeks when Cavani does come back, when Rashford comes back, we've got such good quality up front that people are gonna miss out, and that's down to Ollie to manage the situation and keep everyone happy. But yeah, I really do like Greenwood, and I do hope that he's like, when he doesn't start, I do hope he gets a lot of appearances off the bench this year for that reason, because he's very young, 19. He's great what he's doing now, but he needs to continue to get minutes to get more and more confident.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just one question here before we wrap up. We one obviously not going to happen, but Ryan just thrown here, would we take Lewandowski? It's a weird one because I don't know where that rumor came from. It's not even a rumor. It was kind of concrete last night. I don't know if he released a statement or someone sort of credible released a statement saying he is looking for a new challenge. Whether Bayern Munich sell, I'm not sure what their situation is. But there's nothing in that in regards to United, obviously. Or could you see a situation?
Not with United. If anything, I reckon the blinkers would have been on for City. Obviously, he's been underneath. He's been with Pep before at Bayern. And then, like I said, Daniel Levy's been a pain in the ass at the moment. So if Bayern have said 100 million and Tottenham are saying 150, yeah, he's got a few years on Harry Kane, but he's definitely a world-class striker. And if they want something for right now, if they want the league or possibly the Champions League this year, 50 million cheaper, for Lewandowski, and there you go. Pep knows him, he knows Pep. Why not? But I don't know. It's a bit of fun. I could see it happening. Can you imagine? I could see Bayern getting 100 million and then throwing it at Dortmund and saying, "Yeah, we'll take Haaland off your hands now." So who knows? I think it's a bit close to the season for the big rotation. Like I said, I think the Bundesliga's already started. He literally just won the Super Cup with Bayern 2 days ago or something. So it's a pretty crazy thing to come out and say we're this close to the window.
It's an interesting one with Bayern you mentioned there in regards to Haaland. He's linked with every club except Bayern Munich, and usually a lot of the Dortmund players do go to Bayern Munich, but it has been a little bit quiet on there. But it is an interesting one. And Alex is saying here contract negotiations play, which very well could be the case. It seems to happen. And Bayern Munich players do have it. Goretzka only a couple of weeks ago sort of used it against United, but would serve as a stopgap for Greenwood if Cavani packs up at the end of the season. Yeah, I just think I put Lewandowski in the Cavani category. I think they're almost the same player. They've obviously got different styles here and there, But in terms of the situation of their career and what they want and what a club would want from them, I think Lewandowski and Cavani are the same. So we've got Cavani now. At the end of the season, that's when you look for your new, whether it be Greenwood, whether it be Mbappe or Haaland. I think that's when sort of that decision will be made. But before we wrap up then, actually on Lewandowski, just before, it did make me chuckle yesterday when that news started to break. It was sort of everyone was debating where he's going to end up. And I did say, I don't know, it was quite a big account, and he was being quite sort of realistic, or not realistic, but he was serious. He was an Arsenal fan, and he was saying Lewandowski should be going to Arsenal. And yeah, it did make me chuckle. It did it was funny to watch because he was serious. He wasn't taking the piss. But Josh saying big relegation battle with City Norwich this weekend. Yeah, bottom of the table clash. Norwich, like I said last week, they're either playing Liverpool or City. Every week, Norwich have one of those games. But before we wrap up then, Rob, well, we're both quite confident. Score prediction? Comfortable? 3-0 something?
3-0 for me. I said it last night. Now pod 3-0. I'm pretty confident, especially if we can get an early goal, man. I think, like I said, it's probably they're going to sit back and just let us have fun, or like I said, we're going to have to work for it. But yeah, I really do think our quality outdoes them. And if we can't win against Southampton, what have we got? What hope have we got this year? These are the ones that was draws last year that we have to make wins this year, definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it is a weird one. Bruno Fernandes, 2 goals or 3?
Actually, I think he's only going to get 1 goal this week. I think the front line.
Listen to us. I was only going to get 1 this week.
Yeah, I know, but compared to his hat-trick last week, I told you, I really hope, I'd love to see Sancho on the score sheet or whipping in across for another Greenwood goal, something like that. But yeah, whatever, as long as we win, I really want a clean sheet. That's honestly what I want the most this week.
Yeah, no, just one question here, just before we wrap up, from Adrian: will United be intimidated by full St Mary's Stadium? And the reason I just bring that, we obviously have this great away record off the back of last season. We're going for the record. I think we need two games. But last season, all those wins, all that undefeated streak last season, came behind closed doors. And Southampton, while they're not sort of the most sort of raucous crowd, it is their first game those fans have been in for 2 years. So there will be an atmosphere. Obviously, United in town was their biggest game of the season. I'm just thinking, are you concerned at all in regards to how United will deal with that?
It will be a factor, man. But like I said, I just think that the boys are going to be on a high from last week. I told you, an early goal shot the crowd up, and yeah, I think we'll be fine, man.
No, fingers crossed. And last prediction: 2-0 Greenwood and Bruno for Ryan. And I think that's one. 2-0 Greenwood and Bruno. That makes a lot of sense to me, and definitely what I'll be going for. So hopefully everyone did enjoy that match preview on a Friday if you are in Sydney and stuck in lockdown for another month. But also if you are anywhere else around the world, hopefully you enjoyed it, and obviously your freedoms. But if you did like the video, please leave a like on the video. I'm just seeing Prem, who's a little bit late. It's caught Larry's bug, but evening lads, a bit late today. Let's get that win on the weekend, but good to see you, mate. Yeah, 2-0 Greenwood and Bruno for me, but hopefully everyone did enjoy it. Leave a like on the video. If you're not subscribed, please leave a subscribe. That would be very good. And we'll be back on Sunday, no, probably Monday, probably a couple of days off. We'll do a match review after the 2 or 3-0 win against Southampton. So cheers, Rob, for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me again. Peace.
Have a good one.